Hey everyone, Martin here, and welcome back to another Top 10 video. This time, I wanted to talk about a certain series on YouTube. In the year 2020, the most popular game in the world is a virtual reality experience called The Last of Us Part 2. TOME, the Terrain of Magical Expertise. A 15-episode series reboot of the original incarnation, TV TOME Adventures on Newgrounds, it had lots of charm, humor, great soundtrack, and a well-done story packed into just 2 seasons. And with the TOME RPG that came out in September 2021 and the 10th anniversary in November 2021, I dove back into my own nostalgia and rewatched the series. And with that, I relived a lot of the memories I had with it. And I thought I'd share some of my favorite memories from the series. This is my list of my top 10 Terrain of Magical Expertise moments. Now with every game, there are rules to the list. Number 1, these moments are only taken from the main 15 episodes. So the 7 shorts, April Fools, bloopers, behind-the-scenes commentaries, and the AVZ short are not counted for this list. 2. When I say moment, I actually mean this fairly generally. It could be a certain scene, a character, a brief gag, or an entire episode. It just has to be within the series itself. So with a wide meaning like this, some entries will be longer than others. 3, and this one's a bit of a disclaimer, but this will contain spoilers for the entire series. So if you have about 6 to 7 hours in your day, go and watch the series first. With all that out of the way, let's log on.
Hark! Whoosh! Nylock! Nylock! Oh, Nylock! Nylock! Oh, Nylock! Nylock! Oh, Nylock! Nylock! Oh, Nylock!
The famous role player of the main cast, we have Nalock, Dragonov starting off the list. Hey, I did say characters could be their own entry. If Wombo could do it, I can too, dang it. Anyways, meet Nalock, an over-the-top medieval role player from Knutsford, England, with a heart of gold and a large sword made of ice, voiced by Martin Billany of Yu-Gi-Oh! Abridged fame. He always gives me a laugh when he's on screen, as well as some facepalms of an, oh boy, here we go, moment. From his first entrance into the series, to the team up with Kirbopher at the mansion, to his motivational speeches for Demon King and Zeto, he almost always steals the show in every scene. But there's one part I saved for last, and probably surprised a lot of people during episode 6. Him breaking character.
I'm just some normal chap is all.
It's this scene where we get the backstory to why Nalock is like he is. His real life is difficult, and any spare time that he has, he plays TOME as Nalock. He simply wants to have fun and just goof around with the friends that he's made. And he even said himself that he tries to block out anything that doesn't agree with a sense of having fun. And with as often as Nalock appears in TOME, he only broke character around 3 times. His talk with Game Crazed in episode 6, the short moment with Zeto in episode 9, and his final thank you to the Net Kings in episode 15. And through it all, he just really wants to help others, even putting them before himself and his persona. For a character that started out as comic relief, he's really down-to-earth, relatable, and worthy of making it on the list as himself. For he is...
Nylock, Dragon of the Cold Steel.
Gotta love a good side quest. The main plot for episode 4, the Shadow Guard Idol quest, takes my number 9 spot. With the fairly story-driven episodes that came before, it was nice to see the main 5 just playing the game for fun. Albeit some hacker mischief and some serious moments here and there, actually seeing the characters try to have some fun is a nice change of pace. Plus it added some additional funny bits too. Flame Girl and Raccoon having to roleplay to get quest info, the awkward Brits talking at the mansion, Granda's angry speech, Kirb being pro, putting together the idol, and Raccoon's vile jokes throughout the episode itself. Then to break up the action, we get the conversation of the main 5 characters possibly meeting up outside of TOME. And since this was almost the last episode of the series, this is where we learn more about each main character. Nylock's hometown and breakup, the comparison to Alpha's IRL friends compared to the TOME crew, Game Crazed's inability of transportation, foreshadowing the future reveal later in the series, and Flame Girl being from California.
And she was never heard from again.
But at the end of it all, they met up because of TOME, so the connection to the game is already important to them. But then, well...
Welcome to my cage of death! You go nowhere, oh yeah, and it's playtime!
The Shadow Guard beast is summoned, with Raccoon blasting Alpha away before hacking the beast and taking control of it. Then we get a series of great action scenes, the first use of the Drain Edge, another cameo by JonTron as Sniper Wheel, a few references by Raccoon, as well as Raccoon messing with Nilok by roleplay insulting him. Then we got the last use of the Forbidden Power before it goes berserk in the next episode, and all of it ends with the elemental attacks to finish the beast off. It's a great episode, and not a bad side quest idea for a game. And while it might not be that high, it was enjoyable enough to have it be on the list.
Okay, how many pieces?
Go. Time to get out of here.
Before it's all over, one last game. One of the last things you see in the series, the final credits, takes my number 8 spot. After everything that transpired within the past few days in the series, a look at the aftermath gave a lot to take in for the final animated goodbye. With Saturn Diva and Whitey having a conversation throughout, giving one last bit of story along with some additional clips showing some closure to some characters. And it's a fairly big info dump, so let's break it down. There's the rumor of Tome shutting down because of the incident that transpired, mentioned by Agent Giga himself, with the hope of things clearing up because of the lost connections the characters would have. Then there's the apology message from Raccoon/Rodney to Doubling/Skate that gets deleted before helping out Archie from being harassed by Oddball, giving him a helping hand and a new friend. Then there's the memoriam engraved to Kirbopher. Since Zeto didn't need the separate character anymore, he left it behind so he can be his true self with his friends. Finally, the last dialogue exposition in the series from Sat and Whitey, the tease to reveal that the main crew was meeting up in real life. It's just a great series of events within the course of only 3 minutes time, and it just had to be here on the list. Let's grant one last wish. The only filmed part in the series, we have the in-real-life meetup of the main cast taking my number 7 spot. This was a moment that many Tome fans were hoping for since the start, and was semi-hinted at in episode 4. Even Chris was dreaming about it during the old TTA days. From small to big, I like how each of them are wearing their respective colors to the characters. Save for Mike, but Alpha is just a Gorillaz fan. Then there's the fact that each voice actor plays their in-real-life counterparts, save for Alpha and Flame Girl, which is actually because Mike Lucas is the original inspiration for Alpha, and since Stephanie is part Filipino, Chris wanted to have appropriate casting. Plus the bunny ears was a funny improv by Mike. Then there's the final group hug at the end. So why was it recorded? Zeto was going to bring it to NetKing Software HQ to show to Softy, so that in a way, they could all meet up. And to top it all off, Softy gets the final words in the series often spoken at the end of many games. Everything here is just so awesome to see, and a great closure to the characters after the year worth of time in the series, as well as the 4 years worth of time for us. A great finale for the series that's definitely worth top 10 material.
Thank you for playing.
In the end, only 2 valiant players shall rise above the rest and show the world that their bond is strong enough to overcome anything. This is the Gemini Tournament.
The tournament arc of Tome, the Gemini Tournament, takes my number 6 spot. This has always been a favorite for me, and for good reason. various characters we've seen returning to fight each other, along with a couple joke matchups, cool cameos, and many of it completely animated rather than just sprites, which is always appreciated. Since this entry is the entire tournament, it's a bit lengthy, so bear with me. The first rounds are great, with Alpha and Flame Girl versus the Scalies bringing some good, fairly typical tourney announcer action, Sight and Whitey versus Captain Man and Corrosive, which is kinda used for comic relief, Curb and Archie versus Wackoon and Skate being the battle of reluctant teammates, Game Craze versus Elliscope and Hyperlinks, with being a skilled 2v1 with Nightlock on a caffeine high, also used as comic relief, Zeto and Kizuna versus Suzaku and Shogun, aka the twin blades being destroyed in 20 seconds, plus the mini cameo by Edwin Tiong as Agent Giga watching the stream. Yes, this is confirmed. Then there's the final round where the hacker business begins. With Sniper Wheel and Astarob versus Dust Bunny and Neo Mutant, the hackers take Asterob's shield to try and absorb the forbidden power from Alpha's player model. And fun fact, Dust Bunny is voiced by Christina Valenzuela, or Christina V, who also voices Robin Hill and Ruby, Shantae, and Marionette from Miraculous Ladybug. Then we get to the second round, where we get a bit more main character versus main character action. We have Alpha and Flamey versus Sat and Whitey, which has this great moment. Zeto and Kizuna versus Kirbopher, which ends up having Zeto KOing his own character, and the unseen Nightlock and Game Craze versus Demon King and an unnamed Succubus Girl. This story was told by Nightlock in episode 10. And all of that was just part 1. In part 2, we get the confrontation between the hackers, Alpha and Flame Girl, more hints towards things later in the series, the tail end of the Sniper Wheel and Astarob versus Mace and Meat fight, and what I think a lot of people were waiting for, Alpha and Flame Girl versus Zeto and Kizuna, which was nearly entirely animated. Plus, combined with it being development for the characters, as well as a bit of a subversion of expectations, it was actually surprising to see the main characters lose the fight. Then we get to the Battle of the Brits and Purple players, which, for as short as it was really well animated. Plus, I love Forever's intro for this fight.
Ready, set, kill each other!
Then we get to the final round, Zeto and Kizuna versus Nightlock and Game Crazed, which is certainly a sight to behold. The animation, choreography, and the music really help sell this as a final fight. Then we get close to the end of the fight, with Nightlock simply talking to Zeto. Two types of players playing this game for different reasons, it really comes through with this interaction. Nightlock wants to make sure that Zeto is having fun, while Zeto, with everything that's happened to him that day, is just not having it. And when Nightlock trying to lighten the mood comes off as flaunting, Zeto snaps.
You stop this bullshit right now!
30 seconds of annoyance and anger just come out in one massive rant. And through the disappointment Nightlock feels, he drops his own method of having fun. He breaks character. And after a large charged up blast from Zeto, we get another connection error. Comedic? Yes. Convincing enough to fool people? Apparently. But when it comes back, we get one last speech from Nightlock, which is actually a nice message to gamers, given today's fandoms towards games. Play games as not an outlet for your rage, but treat it as though it was a dear friend that you've given the utmost respect. From beginning to end, about 40 minutes worth of story, fighting, speeches, cameos, and everything in between, this part of the series definitely makes my top 10, but it just wasn't enough to break the top 5.
Nightlock! Master of giving heartfelt speeches that are damn well better serve their intended purpose, or I swear by my blade I shall explode! Whoosh!
Let's return. I have a few things to share with my parents.
Softy's final speech in the series, her final goodbye, takes my number 5 spot. This moment was one that really hit hard the first time around, and it still has weight to it in the present day. After a year of living and being the heart of Tome, she gives one last heartfelt memento of a speech before her possible and likely end. The flashbacks to previous moments in the series really help sell this point home, and the emotion of happiness for the life that she had both in and around Tome as game crazed, combined with the sadness that that life would be coming to an end, really makes you feel for her. And then there's her final parting words to her protectors, friends, and family. A thank you for everything that they've given to her. It's an amazing scene and one that has stuck with me for 6 years. Definitely enough to make it into my top 5.
Whether my existence continues beyond this day, know that I have lived a touched, fulfilling, and meaningful life. Thank you.
Care for a boss rush? The first plot element introduced in Season 2, the Challenge of the Net Kings, takes my number 4 spot. After Game Craze gets picked through a bingo contest, and with the most generic player ID ever, we get a set of 5 classic 1v1 battles between our heroes and the creators of the game, the Net Kings. And all with pretty famous voice actors too. First off is Exec, played by John St. John, aka Duke Nukem and Big the Cat, battling against Alpha, with a nice rock, paper, scissors element type match. Then we get to the next fight, which is totally Zeto.
Yes, I am the true champion of the Gemini tournament, the crown prince of all douchebags. I will defeat you all with my ridiculously overpowered gun arm, which is 100% legal for use in any competitive environment.
What?
Don't tell me.
Yes, that's right. Bow before my impossibly designed hairstyle and ass-ugly desaturated red pajamas. Okay, alright. I'm done. And my color scheme is just... No, I'm messing with you.
Yeah, no. Next, we got Ruby Rules, voiced by Yuri Lowenthal, aka Ben 10, Mercury Black, and Peter Parker in the new Spider-Man games, facing off against Nihilok. With some nice Star Wars references in this one too, along with a nice classic Nihilok self-proclaimed title. Halfway through, we have Kinder Spirit, voiced by Michelle Knotts, aka Jessie, and about 100 other roles from Pokemon, versus Flame Girl. This fight actually has a neat detail where the background music changes based on what attack Kinder Spirit is using. Plus, the fangirl moment is pretty funny.
You are just the cutest thing I've ever seen! I don't even know what you are, but I don't care! Who are you? How are you? Where can I buy toys of you? Can I keep you?
Okay, so do we fight now or what?
No! I couldn't possibly lay a finger on you!
We're doing a pretty good job right now!
I'm just gonna keep you in here for later.
Then we have a nice break between our heroes, discussing the reward of a wish at the end of a quest line. I do like how this part is similar to the one in episode 4, but Kirby and Nihilok actually agree on meeting up in real life this time around. It's a nice touch to see the growth of these characters after everything they've gone through. Then we get to Bitchram, voiced by Todd Haberkorn, aka Natsu, Android 19, and Ling Yao, versus Squire Kirbopher. This time with a more race to the end than a proper fight, I like the change of pace, since it fits Bitchram's prankster-like personality in this. Plus, I mean, come on, this speech.
I am not a squire! I am the king! I am the best player in this game! I am better than the mushroom, or the angel, or the crystalline douchebag, or the metalhead grandpa combined! So shut up and suck it!
You doing okay up there, Kirb?
I am great!
Quality stuff. Last but not least, we have Webmaster, voiced by Kyle Hebert, aka Gohan, Frederick, and Ryu, facing off against Game Crazed. With the great battle of Master Hand versus Crazy Hand, it's amazing to see it all come together. And with a forfeit and respect and pride, Webmaster yields, giving Game Crazed and our heroes the victory. It's also nice to see the 5 interact with each other, along with some info exposition on each of the Net King's roles in the game, Zeto and Kizuna's Net King origins, and, well, talking about the Forbidden Power, which I won't get into too much detail as this entry is already getting long as it is. But with each fight's unique concepts, animations, Net King's personalities, and progression in the story, this large trip of a quest line definitely makes my top 5.
On behalf of all of us,
Thank you so much for playing our game.
The reverse rematch and final fight of Season 1, Alpha vs Demon Zeto, takes my number 3 spot. This fight was always memorable to me, from the different nods to things in the series and even Dragon Ball, to the fight sequences that were really well animated. Plus, credit where credit is due for the voice acting in this bit. Blake's tired and pained voice for Alpha, and Chris's demonic yells and screams with so much effort put into each role helps bring it home. But to me, what really brings it home is the soundtrack. A remix by the Living Tombstone of the Virus's and Zeto's themes, aptly titled Survive the Virus. It really brings out the seriousness and intensity of this fight, and the music nerd in me loves it when that happens. This fight may not have been enough to get any higher than this, but it can take a solid 3rd place.
Kill me!
Trust you.
Kid, you're messing with something of which you have no comprehension.
No, I understand more than ever. Now hand over the purple flame.
You're asking me to hand over my biggest advantage in all this? Oh, okay. That's the way you want to do this. You're not ruining this for me, kid. If sacrifice has got to be made, then so be it!
The final battle in the series, Fusion Alpha vs Ruby Rules, takes my number 2 spot. If a lot of this list didn't give a clue for it already, I really like the fight scenes in this series, and this one is no exception. With how long we've known the Forbidden Power as an adversary in the series, and the antivirus being used to help stop it, it was really cool to see it be turned on its head and have the antivirus be used by the villain, and the Forbidden Power be used by Alpha. And if the virus were to go out, why not go down fighting? Plus, the Fusion Alpha form looks really cool, and a nice different take compared to the demon form seen previously. Then we got Monster Ruby Rules, with some spiked hands and scythe legs, along with a shampoo dispenser body. Okay, the last one isn't really true, but you look at this thing's animations for shooting fire and tell me it doesn't look at least a little bit like one. And after Monster Ruby Rules is dealt with, and a burn from Alpha, we get Phase 2 where Ruby Rules takes on Alpha's player model, dubbed Rubia. I like the little callbacks to both the jump over move Alpha's done before, as well as the Demon Zeto fight referencing Dragon Ball. It's like poetry. It rhymes. And after getting disarmed... Yeah, hate me later. And one last bit of rage from Ruby's words, we have one last DBZ reference before Alpha and the virus defeat Ruby. And with one last burst of positive emotion, and a moment Tome fans have been waiting for about 4 years, both the antivirus and Forbidden Power are erased from the game in one large explosion. And all of this happens over the course of only 4 minutes. Action-packed, emotional, and just awesome to see in that short amount of time. And as good as this fight was, one moment beat it for first place.
Such overwhelming power. Incredible.
Now before we get to number 1, here's some quick honorable mentions. A nice cameo appearance from JonTron, and adds a good amount of comedy to each episode he's in, but it wasn't enough to make the list. A nice orchestral take on the Season 1 theme, along with a great mini moment for Nylok, but it wasn't enough to make it on the list proper. A great and mysterious antagonist turned ally throughout the series, and just really cool overall, but it just couldn't beat the rest. A nice part in episode 2, introducing Astarob, hinting at GC and Kirb's true identities, GC fixing the mansion and Kirb knowing about the absorption shield, and additional dancing, it has a lot to offer. But when compared to the other things on the list, it just couldn't beat the rest. A great moment to finally see after so long, and has a better effect when considering the audience reaction from the live panel, but it couldn't stack up against the competition.
And she was never heard from again.
It's something so simple, yet so funny, I actually quote this fairly often. But with it being so small, it stuck as an honorable mention. A great character throughout the series, hilarious antagonist in episodes 1, 4, and 8, and gets great development in Season 2, especially gaining some closure in the final credits, but was just barely cut from the list. My personal favorite credits from the series because of the song alone, with it being more upbeat and happy compared to the more actiony Battle On and Heroes Don't Ask Questions. But that's really all this had going for it, so honorable mention it is. The original song is called Starlight Speedway by Rocket Ship Resort, now Skyrocket, so give it a listen.
Well, it's about time. It's been so long. Since I snapped someone's neck.
The first true fight of Demon Alpha, and the first appearance and battle with Zeto, Demon Alpha vs. Zeto, takes my #1 spot. This fight. Whew, man, this fight. This had a lot of firsts for the series. First view at the Forbidden Power taking control, first fight with Tiger Lily, first glimpse at Nihilog nearly breaking character, first sight at GC knowing more than he seems, first time that Battle On wasn't used as a credit theme, and, of course, the first introduction to Zeto. And to quote Cinema Wins, now this is an entrance. Smug, confident, and powerful enough to go toe-to-toe with Demon Alpha, despite probably being scared out of his mind on the inside. Plus, and I have to point this out again, the music during this scene. Survive the Drama is a great track for Zeto, a nice fight track, and has some pretty good and new vocals by Chris. And just like before, even though this technically came first, the voice acting for this part really brings out the emotion, as well as killing Blake's throat. And, of course, the action in this part is great. Between the sprites and animated segments, it blends together really well that makes this become a great ride from beginning to end. From the action to the soundtrack, animation to voice acting, this fight takes my spot for my favorite moment for all of Tome.
You have sought.
And that's my list. Hope you enjoyed. Have your own opinion? Leave your favorite moments in the comments below. And until next time, see ya!
Follow me as we pick up speed and set these constellations free. Do you see the earth itself below? Running the speed of sound beneath the starlight road. Kick your wings into high gear and pierce the heavens and bring them near. High five the fireworks as they go, flying the speed of sound beneath our starlight road. We're coming around, flying the speed of sound beneath our starlight road.